Franchise Sports Media!
Hello, welcome fight fans to another edition of The Main Event. I am your host, Dmon Q. Cotton. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Dmon_the boss. To my right,
Kalani Lua, KLUA11.
to my left.
Griffin Kemp. You can follow me everywhere at Griffin Kemp 51.
All right, guys, and let's get straight into it. There is no fluff today. We do not need a fluffer. If you know, you know. We are here to talk about the main event that is UFC 303. International Fight Week 2024. A great event. The card delivered. Now, we are going to give you two aspects of the weekend. As Kalani was at the fan experience. What was the fan experience at this year, actually?
This was at the Las Vegas Convention Center in the South Hall.
All right, at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And Griffin was actually at the event at T-Mobile Arena covering the fight. He is now the fight guy at ESPN Las Vegas. Yeah, give him his props. Give him his props, baby. Yeah, he's covering it for ESPN Las Vegas. He is now their fight guy officially. I saw the tweets he was putting out. Got to see the fighters up close and personal. But before we get to the actual card, we're going to start with Kalani, and you give us the breakdown. Give us the 411, if that's the term. I forget these terms, the lingo anymore. I'm getting old. So give us the lowdown on what was happening. I saw you had some bacon wrapped Oreos, but besides that, tell me about the experience at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
You sent me in the trance with that one, man, reminding me of the good times. But if you guys ever get a chance for International Fight Week, the UFC does this amazing thing at the convention center. They have a 2-day event. It used to be 3, but they narrowed it down to 2 events. You go there, you pay one price, you get to meet fighters. Now, they won't be the fighters on the card, obviously, but you get to meet the fighters. You get to go in there and experience a lot of what they get to see behind the scenes. They have locker room setups of certain fighters with all the gear in there. They have a hand wrap station where you can go over there and have the actual cut man, whether it's Brad Tate, Stitch Duran, any of them sitting down, they wrap one of your hands like they do with the fighters. Those guys got some amazing stories as well. They have an octagon in there that you could get in, take videos, pictures, etc. There's punching bags. There's the UFC fight store. And then obviously, because of their sponsorships, they have a lot of sponsorship booths, so they have fighters who would step out and go into those. The only drawback, and I don't know how you fix it, is just the line weights, especially if it's somebody popular. Dustin Poirier was the big name this weekend. He showed up. His line was out the doors. I mean, if you didn't get there early, it was tough. Now, the fighters try to be as accommodating as they can because they know this is a fan event, but it is a time event. I will say this. If you guys ever get a chance and you call yourself a true MMA fan, make your way down there. It's a lot of fun. You can do 2 days, do 1 day, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great experience. The UFC really does try to give back and give fans the opportunity to meet some of the men and women that they've been watching all these years, step in the cage and put it on the line. I had a blast, as you said. They got fucking Friday booths. They got food booths there. They had a bacon wrapped Oreo. They had an ice cream lasagna. They had a watermelon pizza. Oh my gosh.
Just mixing everything together, yeah?
Well, it's called F-It Friday for a reason. I didn't try to watermelon.
Oh, Dana White's F-It Friday.
F-It Friday.
Trying stuff that the cooks make. Yeah,
and they had their booth there.
So you said something real quick. We'll get to the actual fights. You said watermelon pizza?
I didn't try that for obvious reasons.
You didn't try watermelon pizza?
No, for obvious reasons.
How does that even get put together?
Because I've had a fried Oreo and then you put some bacon around it. Sure, I can imagine.
This wasn't fried though.
It wasn't a fried Oreo?
No, it was a smashed Oreo with the cooked bacon around it.
They should have deep fried that bad boy. I'm from Tennessee. Come on,
delicioso.
Yo, but no, I need just dip it in the grease a little bit. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Come on, we gonna do it. Let's do it.
Fair enough. I agree.
If we're gonna be big back, let's be big back all the way.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
Give me that friedness, all right? Okay, so we got that out of the way. Did you see any fighters? Did you actually wait in any lines? Because I also know that the Poirier line, my guy Harry Ruiz, who does the Spanish broadcast for the Raiders, it actually cut off. You know, he waited in line for about an hour, and Dustin being as gracious as he did with his time, but still, some people waited over an hour in his line and still didn't get to meet him. Was there any fighter, or maybe you just ran through, you just passed on the way, and you're like, oh man, that's so-and-so?
I did get to meet Chris Weidman, which was freaking awesome. I got to meet Gilbert Burns. I got to meet Alexa Grasso. Man, oh man, she's so welcoming and whatnot. And then Pearl Gonzalez, who was there. Now, she's not in the UFC now, but former UFC fighter. She was walking through doing media stuff. You get to meet people like that. I got to meet people who are in the media that I've been watching as well. So just people of that particular I didn't get to meet as many fighters in the past. Oh, me and him went. We got to meet a boatload of fighters.
Yes.
I didn't get to meet Charles Oliveira, though.
It's one of those events where I interviewed him last year. Great guy. Great
Just
guy.
gonna
Great team.
brag about it. Okay.
Spoke a little Portuguese. I felt like I was part of the family.
Okay.
But it's one of those
Good for
things
you.
where when you're talking to people like that's been in the game for years and years, they say before the UFC monetized the event to make it like, hey, this is a UFC branded event, or like, oh, 10, 15 years ago, International Fight Week is crazy. You had way more access. Fighters were just walking around. I feel like as we get older, there are always things that people are going to say, hey, 10, 15 years ago, it was so much better. And then we are just missing out on the experience of, this is pretty cool now, but I wish I could experience those things that where you're talking about. A fighter would punch you if you gave him $10 type of thing. Yeah, he'd punch you for real. No holding back. And it's like, really? I'd pay for that.
There were some leg kicks given out there. You can see some, hey, can you leg kick me? I'll try. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No.
For free? I'd take a leg kick for free.
You must be
you
crazy.
go down to Natural Couture, Strickland will give it to you. Sean Strickland will beat you up for free. He loves it.
You know what? I got a beef with Sean Strickland. Last year at International Fight Week, it was one of those, hey, Sean's going to come over. And what do I see? Sean sneaking out the back door. I didn't get my Sean Strickland.
Surprise.
I really wanted it. I wanted him to say controversial that only I would have and maybe I could air. Was I going to try to goad him into saying something like, ooh, Sean, give me something. But I didn't have the chance. I didn't get to see if Sean Strickland would say something controversial to me. But onto the actual card, as our own Griffin Kemp was there, a part of ESPN Las Vegas, but also a part of franchise. You know, he's doing double duty. You know, two hats Griffin is wearing, even though he's only got the one on right now.
Double dipping.
Tell us about, that's your first UFC event as media, right?
Correct. Yes, that was my first time being there as a credentialed member of the media. And it really is different. It's very different. I've been to a couple cards just as a fan, and you still get the nice atmosphere. You still get the excitement. But being in the back end of things, actually being able to go to the press tent and actually watch the post-fight interviews, get the insight of all the fighters, Dana White, everybody involved, it's different. You feel like there needs to be a little bit of reverence because you know that whatever you got going on, whatever excitement, whatever you feel about being there, once you're a credentialed media, it's all about the show, the event itself, and you not getting in the way of it, but you promoting it. You getting in there and doing the job you're supposed to be there doing, which is reporting on it, making sure everybody who follows whatever account, whatever company you work for, they are getting the best coverage possible. And despite my media credential, I still had no warning, all the little things that came up during this card, like the co-main event, like Michael Chandler coming in the very beginning before the card, or, right before the main card, the post press conference with Dana White and him beefing with one of the media members, going back and forth about John Jones. All of those things were, there was no warning for it. It just kind of popped up on you. And if you're lucky enough to have good connections, which I was able to have, who were able to give me a little heads up, like, hey, Michael Chandler's going to be here around 6 o'clock. The fight just got canceled. The co-main event just got canceled. It got changed up. This is now what the card's going to look like. There's so many things, and if you're lucky enough to actually go there, anybody who wants to get into this career field, if you are ever lucky enough to be a part of an event like this, take it and absolutely soak it all in, because it is one of the greatest things I've done probably in my career.
I've got to ask you, did you ask a question?
I did not this time around.
Okay.
I was riding Adam Hill's coattails a little bit, just trying to see how a vet does it, how a vet kind of composes himself. And
my nemesis in the media, not Adam Hill. He's holding court. I'll let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. Adam Hill holds court when it's a UFC event. He's in an upper echelon now that he is an official NFL beat reporter, and he's just holding court. People come up to him. They treat him with such a reverence. Adam Hill from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I cannot stand the guy. And I mean that. I'm looking directly in the camera when I say that.
Oh.
Had him on my show this past weekend on Live Bet Sunday. But don't forget I said anything. Adam Hill, cannot stand the guy. Great guy.
Great guy.
Yes, great guy. But let's get into the actual card, as we've got the official fan experience, the official credentialed media member experience. Now let's get into the actual card. Now, guys, I want to start with something that was on the prelims, a guy that I really hadn't heard much about. You watch the fight, you listen to Joe Rogan or Griffin, maybe you're talking to some of the media members there. Peyton Talbot. This guy, where you're watching the fight, you're listening to the commentary, and it's like, hey, this guy's kind of good. This guy's got big things in his future. And he knocks out his opponent in, I want to say, about 30 seconds, where you can't even absorb. Sometimes you want commentary to tell you the story of how good this guy is. Paint the picture for what you're about to see from someone fresh off the Contender Series and how he is supposed to be the next big thing at bantamweight at 135. And Peyton Talbot, all I saw was one punch, and that's all that it took. I don't know what other skills that he has, but he's got some thunder in his hands. Did you guys see this and take away like, oh, this guy could be the next big thing? Because my thing is, and I'll get to another fighter that was later on the card that's also up and coming, where if you show me one good prospect, I want to see him fight another good prospect. So as soon as I see the knockout, Raul Rosas, that's who I want to see him fight next. Let me see him fight somebody else that is an up-and-comer, the next big thing at 135. What were you guys' takeaway from, let's just say, a one-punch knockout?
Well, first of all, shout out Peyton Talbot. I believe a Nevada resident, actually. 25 years young. The kid came out hot. I remember not too long ago, he was coming up in the Dana White Contender Series, and it was some random fight. And, I feel like there's a difference between, the hardcores and the naturals, or the what do they call them? The occasionals. Oh, the casuals. I want to call them the occasionals, because occasionally they'll listen to stuff that's not on the main card. But I remember that, Peyton Talbot had a beautiful performance, and a lot of people were comparing him to like Sugar Sean O'Malley with the way he was striking and the way his range, and that stuck in my mind. So then fast forward to 303, he has that knockout. He goes out and he does that. This kid, I think, is very, very special. I think we have, again, another killer in bantamweight. Again, undefeated, 9-0. The dude is just absolutely skyrocketing up the what is it? What are you? The fan favorite, the not quite a contender, but I don't think he's that far off. He's somebody absolutely everybody needs to keep their eye on and get ready for it, because the future might be this kid's.
Kalani, real quick before I let you speak, I just want to ask: when we were doing our picks last week, isn't this the fighter that you said he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, even though he's undefeated?
No.
Do you remember that?
I remember
Yeah.
something. I remember something.
It's not him.
Okay, it wasn't him?
I know which one it is. It's not him.
It was not him?
Don't try to call me out right now.
Let me get your thoughts on this rising star in the UFC.
Peyton Talbot, a graduate of the University of Nevada. He is a Nevada resident.
I'm sour on him already. I'll let you finish.
This guy's phenomenal right here. He's one of those guys where, from a physical standpoint, you can tell, even in his fighter series, you can tell he's putting the pieces together very quickly, very well. We didn't see much of it here because of the one-punch knockout, but you see when he's in the fighting series, he's throwing the knees, he's throwing kicks, he's aggressive, but he's not overly out of control when he is pressing forward. It's one of those calm rages that he's doing in there. Like DC said after the fight, he works on his mic skills. This is a bright star in the future on both ends. Inside, he's got the look, the fluffy hair, physical traits, but then also the fight skills to back it up. He just works on the mic skills. And when we say that, it doesn't have to be you have to become a character. You just have to be yourself, turned up to 10. Just like in pro wrestling. Be who you are, just turn the notch up a little bit, add a little bit. You don't got to go full WWE mystery character that's not really you. No, just be yourself. I'm very excited to see this young talent here. You guys were talking about how he reminds you of Sugar Sean O'Malley. He reminds me, in a sense, of how Sage Northcutt was when he first came in there. This kid that just looked like he was made in the lab, all the physical traits. Now, I don't want to put him in there right away with other top prospects and derail these guys so early. We saw the same thing with Thomas Almeida and Cody Garbrandt. When they were coming at 145, I felt that they fought each other maybe 1 or 2 fights too early. Almeida goes down. We don't hear from him ever again. He had a couple other fights, but it almost one of those. I forget the Korean Superboy that fought Cub Swanson on here. I forget his name right now, but he was another one. Young prospect on the up and coming, knocking people out, fun to watch. He fights Cub Swanson, loses by a hard decision, and you just never saw him gain that momentum back. He's had some fights since, but he's never gained that same popularity since then. So with Talbot, I'm not saying you got to feed him tomato cans, but I wouldn't want to see him rush too soon in his particular career, because I think the future is bright for him, and I'm very excited to see what he can do going forward. And if he could go a little bit longer in his fights, how does his ground game look? How does his cardio look past the 30 seconds in the first round? Otherwise, I was super excited. Hey, he gave the commentators enough time afterwards to tell the story.
Yeah. All right, so let's move to the fight of the night, guys, because this was one I predicted the right winner, but I thought he would get it. I thought he would get it done in a finish, and that's Andre Touchy-Feely against Cub Swanson, 2 veterans of the UFC who were just going at it. Like I said, it won fight of the night honors. What did you guys think about this? Because I make no bones about it. I am a Touchy-Feely fan. The way he talks, the way he is so candid in his post-fight interviews or press conferences after a win, I really appreciate that from a fighter, when it's not so much, hey, I won, this is my job, I just go out there and I do what I do. But someone who can tell you testimony about their lives, the demons they've been fighting, all of that stuff. When you let me inside as a person of who you are as a fighter, I like you even more, and that's how I feel about Andre Touchy-Feely. Glad he came out to win, but what did you guys think of the performance? Kalani, I'll start with you.
Well, you know what? I gotta give it up to the Uso here. If you go to UFC Fight Pass, the UFC stand-up, he was one of the comedians I got up there. Same thing. He lets it out there. So he's got a great personality. This is one of those where you got two veterans who, okay, at one point in time, these guys were hot prospects. Cub Swanson got a shot early in his career, but they've been consistent throughout. Yeah, they win, they lose, but you know every time these guys step out, it's going to be a dogfight. You better bring your lunch pail. And these two put together, it was magic to see these guys go at it. Both of them had strong striking. Cub, a little bit more power, a little bit more thump in his punches, whereas Feely, it's more so volume, technique, accurate landing, and then his kicks as well. So to see the combination clash with each other, like we say, styles makes fights. These two put together was phenomenal, and I love the fact that two veterans, been around as long as they have, showed they still got some threat on the tire. Yeah, maybe they don't go up there and take on Max Holloway or they take on Ilia Topuria. Okay, I got that, but you still need a middle of the division ranked out. These two guys just proved they're not going anywhere. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Thank you guys for an amazing outing on such a night that has so much going on.
Griffin.
Oh, it was a bad night for the old boys. It was a bad night, man. Cub Swanson, I love Cub Swanson. But unfortunately, he did not get it done this time around. Though it was a split decision. Your boy Touchy-Feely, he did have a good performance, but it split. He almost lost that one. He's a fun personality. It's not just in fighting; it's every sport.
Did you go to his post-fight press conference?
I got a chance to sit in a little bit. He's definitely got that personality. He's no shy guy. He is going to express himself, and he's going to make sure whatever he's feeling is known. And what I actually stood out to me was after the fight commenced, he was celebrating. He was animated. He was getting in there. He was moving around in the cage in a way where it's like you guys said. It doesn't matter what sport. I want my athletes to be expressive. I want my athletes to seem like they're actually having fun on the field, on the court, in the octagon, in the ring. I want to see some personality with these guys or gals. It's more fun. It adds to the experience. Touchy-Feely, it also helps that it looks like he's a pretty decent fighter now. It looks like
he's pretty decent. He's been in the UFC since he was about 20 years old. He's decent.
He's pretty decent, but I think his future is bright. I mean, what is a featherweight division? Arguably the second, I would say, greatest division in the UFC right now. But I think that if he continues on this track, and like you said, with the personality, he's definitely got the potential to get himself into a situation where he's in a big fight with maybe not the champion Ilia Topuria, but he will have an opportunity to fight big names. And if he's able to get into those situations, get some wins, he has the personality and everything else to back him up to rise to that level of stardom that every UFC fighter potentially wants to have.
All right, now the next fight that I want to get to on the prelims before we move to the main card, the performance of the night, Joe Piper. Now, when I mentioned earlier about a guy where, hey, you see him win a fight and you say, well, I want to see him fight the next big guy in the division. Let me see him take on another guy that you guys say is going to be a world beater, a future world champion. For me, Joe Piper, I know he's got a little bit more experience, 13-3 in the UFC, another guy that I'm a big fan of in the middleweight division. For me, I mean, he's also got the power. I thought this fight was going to go a little longer, but I mean, he is just racking up the first round KOs in the UFC, and he was able to get another first round knockout here. But for me, what do you guys think about this? I'll throw this out there. Joe Piper, Bo Nickel. That's something I want to see. That's something I've wanted to see for over a year now. I do not know if they want to, let's say, have Bo Nickel fight a fighter that is as seasoned as Joe Piper. But for me, body bags Joe Piper, Bo Nickel, that's the type of fight where my matchmaking brain, I am not thinking about the long-term success of the UFC and building up fighters. This is just my fantasy booking of, hey, these are two middleweights who seem to be running through everyone else that you line them up against. I want to see them fight each other.
I don't hate that. I actually want to push back a little bit on that narrative of we don't want Bo Nickel to be taking on a guy who's that seasoned. Bo Nickel himself is starting to get a little seasoned himself. I think it's time with whoever they designate his next opponent. I think it's about time Bo Nickel really gets into that fire. And as it goes to Joe Piper, I mean, 13-3 as a professional fighter. I think when you've only got 3 losses on your record and you are still coming out here and you have, like you said, a first round knockout. The guy was on the prelims. I mean, he's got the potential with the record, with the style, with his ability to get guys out of there in the first round. He needs to be bumped up to those main event fights. Maybe we start at the fight night cards and he's on those main cards, but regardless, I think he, again, is a big threat. The middleweight division, it's lacking a bit. It's lacking a little bit, I would say. After the saga of Izzy and then Pereira coming in, and now we have the Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. There's a lot going on in middleweight. I think, though, Joe Pyfer coming in here, I think he could be one of those guys who's at the top, who's going to be challenging whoever's holding that belt.
I do want to add before we get to Kalani is that his last fight was a 5-round fight that he did lose by decision earlier in the year. So sometimes it's just, it's hit or miss with these fighters. I mean, he came back. He said it when he was talking to Joe Rogan in the Octagon. He wanted to come out and make a statement, and he did do that. So sometimes, that 5-round fight, it's a little bit different when you step up and you are going 5 rounds on a fight night card. Kalani, what do you think of this performance?
You know what? I thought it was good. He's 5-1 in the UFC right now. You definitely want to give him a step up in competition. Will it be Bo Nickel right now? I don't know. And the reason I say that is not because of the matchmaking and 2 rising prospects. It's literally because, okay, like Griff said, my middleweight division is pretty depleted right now. We're running back the same old names. Do I really want to derail one of these guys right away? I don't know. It'll be a good fight, but I wouldn't mind seeing him go back again with Emerson at some point. It was a unanimous decision loss, but like he said, hey man, I was sick, I was injured, I love the running back. Maybe you give him that one. Maybe Paulo Costa. I know he just had a match, but maybe you give him something like that. Is Costa on his way out? Well, if so, let's give him one more go with somebody who stylistically might match up with him a little bit better. We'll talk about that with another fight maybe, but I'm very impressed by this guy. He's got the power. I love what he did on the microphone. Again, you don't have to be a character. Just be yourself, turn it up a few notches. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for this young man. He definitely gives the vibe that if he doesn't hold a title, he's going to be in that title picture for a couple years when he gets there.
All right, now let's move to the main card. The first fight on the main card, Ian Machado Gary, Michael Venom Page, a fight that went the exact same way as a lot of us thought it would go, a styles clash, if you say, a fight that I was not expecting a knockout. You say on paper, hey, Michael Venom Page, he can do it all when it comes to on the feet, but we just haven't seen that yet from him in the UFC, where his dynamic striking is truly put on display. And Ian Machado Gary taking the smart approach of saying, hey, I'm just going to out-grapple this guy. I am a true martial artist. And this is one of those fights where you look at the odds, where I think it was in the minus for it to go over in 2.5 rounds. Like, this was a fight that I think everyone knew it was going to go to decision. But Ian Machado Gary coming out there, implementing his game plan, tried to go for a couple of submissions against Michael Page. Kudos to him for not getting tapped out. But Griffin, what did you think about this fight that I think maybe fans were expecting a little bit more fireworks?
Oh, man. Ole, ole, ole. The Irish get it done again. Ian Machado Gary. That boy, I'm proud of him. That boy went out there and at what I assumed was going to be a stand-up fight, just your classic kickboxing bout. Ian Machado Gary flips the cards on him. He says, nah, I'm going to get you out here any way I need to. And if anybody's out there following him, and if, not excluding those haters who were talking about the man and his family and all that, ridiculous. This man trained with Charles Oliveira a little bit. Charles Oliveira came around and they were doing a little bit of grappling training.
Brazilian at this point.
He's full on. He was talking about it in the press conference. He was representing Brazil hard during those press. Dude, he was representing it so well in the press conference. Ian Machado Gary, I want this man to start getting the credit he deserves. He's 15-0. He's 15-0. Forget what's going on in the press. Forget what's going on, with the TMZ headlines and everything going on with his family and all that crazy stuff. Let's focus on just the fighter. Let's focus on the record. Let's focus on the performances. He is undefeated. He continues to rise up. He's taking on the challenges that the UFC is throwing at him. Michael Page came over to the UFC as a phenomenon. He was supposed to be, everybody was hyped because, oh, this guy is crazy. His striking is amazing. He hurts people in a way you've never seen before. But as we saw on Saturday night, it don't matter if you're a striker. It don't matter if you're a grappler. Ian Machado Gary's ready for you, and he is an absolute threat at welterweight. And it's like he said in the post-fight press conference, the man has title and GOAT implications. He wants to reach heights that his idol Conor McGregor reached and even higher. So we'll have to wait and see if he'll actually be able to get to that point. But he's a real threat. He is a real Irishman. I want some respect for him.
It's going to be tough to see at 170 because of the competition there, Michael Venom Page. He's one of those guys where if you see all the viral clip, he defeats his opponent, rolls out the Pokeball, does a little celebration. He's a fun character to see. But Kalani, what were your takeaways from this fight?
If you want Ian, lazy boy, I'm tired as hell, Gary, to get some sympathy, you want him to get some sympathy? Look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. There are times where you get a matchup and you get a stage. Go out there and show us what you can do. Do not give us this. Don't ruin a good song. Don't ruin a good line. Right now, he had a chance to go in against MVP. He's a good grappler against MVP. I look like a good grappler. Francis Ngannou looks like a gold medalist compared to him. Don't do that. He can grapple with anybody now. No, just like with Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. I understand the game plan. Get the victory. But there are times where as fans, we want to say, okay, this must be the next guy. Show me, Bama. You didn't show me. You did not show me at all. Guess what? If he was on a pay-per-view, right, let's just say that, as a co-main event, I ain't buying it.
Whoa.
He's not, look, I said me. I didn't say everybody.
Okay.
I'm not buying it. Based off that particular performance, I'm not buying it. If he headlines the next fight night, I don't know if I'm going to watch it if there's a good WNBA game on. If it's the Aces versus the Fever, I'm watching that instead of this. This right here did not spark any inspiration for what he could be down the line. Because guess what? He ain't going to wrestle Cody Garbrandt. Not Garbrandt.
Oh, you mean Covington?
Like
Because Covington won't even get into the octagon with the man.
Hold on. I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
He ain't going to do that to him. He not going to take Leon Edwards down. You know the Nigerian Nightmare? He ain't doing that to his ass. He should have went out there and did a little bit better. But you know what? Yeah, I get the victory. But at the same time, this isn't going to be a highlight on his career down the road if he does get any of that. No one's going to look back and say, oh, remember that performance he did against MVP at 303? Hell no. He dropped the ball to me on this one for his performance that he went out there and did. Even Dana White was just like, I thought it was a draw. A draw. It should have been. MVP got robbed.
MVP got robbed.
I said it.
A 15-0 record doesn't impress you. Not one bit.
Against a bunch of bums.
Michael Venom Page
29-0, and 20 of those guys we never even heard of. It was a bunch of guys like me, 0-33. Get the hell out of here, 15-0. You can't name 4 guys on that list.
He's still coming up. He's still a young cat. He's coming up with this undefeated record.
He's like 36 years old. He ain't no young cat.
Hey, I'm just saying, this man has shown promise. You cannot deny that he is not one of the top prospects in the welterweight division. In the welterweight division, especially the welterweight division, where we have Leon Edwards, who's just now about to get into who's about to go in for another title defense against Belal Muhammad. They put Belal Muhammad. Everybody's talking mess about how boring that fight's going to be because of the fight style of Belal Muhammad.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make it.
They didn't want to make it.
Yeah.
They did not want to make that fight.
Yeah, and after this one, they don't want to make it with Ian Gary either.
You give it two more fights, and I guarantee you, if he stays undefeated, he will be in the talks for the next title shot.
That's because Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards cleared out everybody else.
I do just want to say real quick before we move on, Ian Gary's last 4 victories inside the UFC, D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez, Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, and Michael Venom Page. So I understand what you're saying.
You named 3 guys. Cool. Okay.
Oh, these were his last. What do you mean?
Just the last 4.
These were the last 4 fights. And
Outside of his camp, nobody knows who Daniel Rodriguez is. No
what are you talking about?
disrespect.
Daniel Rodriguez was just on a UFC card. This I want to say this past weekend.
And nobody knew.
Daniel Rodriguez is a very credible fighter. Neil Magny is a very game.
I didn't say not Neil Magny. I said Daniel Rodriguez.
Well,
it's okay. You named the last 4. We got it.
It's not about that.
We got it.
No, we're not.
We can name 4 on Wikipedia.
He's coming.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, buddy. All right. So we're just
Ole.
We're just gonna move on there. But he fought some very game fighters in the UFC. You just can't discount these guys' record. Where Jeff Neal is a very credible fighter.
I didn't say he wasn't.
Okay, so his last 2 fights, Neil Magny and Jeff Neal. What's the problem with those 2 guys?
2 ain't 4.
His last 2 fights. He even said in the pre-fight press conference, I want to say at media day for this UFC 303 card, he mentioned, hey, if I do go out and beat Michael Venom Page, people are just going to say, hey, you beat a Bellator guy. There's not really anything that impressive. So he even spoke to the, let's say, criticism that you're giving him here.
No, that's not what I said. I didn't even bring up the fact that MVP wasn't Bellator. I said the performance was bad
because he went out there and he fought a let's say a smart,
which I said
a great game plan.
Which I said I get it. You got to get the victory. I said all that. I said you got to get the victory. Game plan, I get all that. I'm talking about to the performance when you have that type of stage. They put them as the opening fight for a particular reason because they thought this fight was going to generate some fireworks between these guys.
Where's your criticism of Michael Venom Page and his performance?
Oh, it's the same as always. If he grapples, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing in there. But we weren't talking about that. We were talking about the ole, 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 the guy that's about to get a tattoo across his neck that says IMG. So that's what I was speaking to in that particular one, because he's the victor. It's the same with Michael Venom Page. If it's standing up, he's fun to watch. But if you take him to the ground, he's never taken a jiu-jitsu or wrestling class before. It's the same thing with him. I'm talking about the performance. Guess what? And the idea of, well, I'll be the Bellator guy. That's long overdue. Michael Chandler's been in there, and people don't say, oh, well, you be the Bellator guy. Justin Gaethje's in it, or you be the Bellator guy. Just like when Strikeforce guys came over. Some win, some don't. In this particular moment, he had a chance, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, hit the grand slam, swing and a miss.
You can't call it a swing and a miss. The man is on there if he got the win.
He got a base hit then. He got a standing double. Kudos. He got a standing double.
We could keep going, but
we do not have all night. Let's move on to the women's fight on this main card. Mayra Bueno Silva, Macy Chiasson, where this was a fight. Jason?
No, you got it right. You're right. I was just saying it for myself.
Okay, where it was one of those fights where a doctor's stoppage, and sometimes you look at a stoppage and you say the cut's not that bad, but no, the cut to Bueno Silva. This was a deep, and I mean deep cut. It was a good fight up until then. How do you guys feel about doctor stoppages? Kalani, I'll start with you.
This was a tough one because it's the same thing. It is blood coming down. It wasn't necessarily bothering her at the moment just yet. It wasn't protruding her vision or anything like that. But when it's that blunt, I believe they said you could see the bone. When it's that deep, you honestly do have to say, protect the fighter. Look, we love it. Maybe we'll book it again down the road, but protect the fighter. Tonight's not your night. So even though we don't necessarily not like doctor stoppages, I felt this one was the right call given how deep it was. Who knows what type of damage she might have suffered had it continued. And Chiasson would have continued with this. So in this particular instance, I agree with the stoppage.
I mean, why do we love this sport? Why are we sitting here talking about this sport? Because it is violent. It is a violent sport. If this was back in the good old days, they would probably let anybody just die in that octagon.
Herb Dean is still willing to.
Herb Dean for sure. We could talk a whole show about Herb Dean.
They still be fighting if Mazzagatti was a ref.
You think so?
Yeah, Steve Mazzagatti.
Think so?
He wouldn't even seen the cut.
Probably. That is probably true as well. I mean, if I don't honestly understand the hype or like the controversy around this doctor stoppage. I mean, if we could have Nate Diaz lose the first ever BMF title to Jorge Masvidal because of a doctor stoppage. I mean, that cut was nasty. Dana White was saying in the post-fight press conference afterwards that he was getting blood in his mouth. Like, that blood was pouring out. Yet you have no choice when we are in the current age where you got to make sure you don't have a death on national television. It's just not a good look for your sport. So let's play it safe. Let's make sure that she's okay. Like you said, they can book it down the road. We could go again. But I think that was the right call. I think it's just, it sucks. It sucks to lose a game. It sucks to lose a fight. But when it comes to terms of safety and health, prolong your career. Let's take the L today. Continue the war tomorrow.
All right, guys, let's move this co-main event that was just it was up in the air.
A mess.
Diego Lopez Ortega, where it's just, hey, is this fight going to happen? We know Ortega misses weight. Hey, we're going to compete. This fight's going to be at 155. And then you hear 4 hours before the fight, Dan Igue's in, and it's going to be a catch weight at 165. Griffin, I want to ask you, what was the experience around those members of the media? What was it like when everybody's getting rumblings that the co-main event may change and we're going to see something unprecedented? As a guy, hey, I live in Vegas. I'll just come right off the couch and come fight in the co-main event.
It was weird. It was really weird. There was a weird little vibe going around once that news broke. Not a lot of people knew how to make sense of it. Me personally, being that my first time being a media credentialed member there, I kind of was just I just chopped it up to what I was hearing, the rumblings and whisperings and people talking about it like, oh no, this is just, rumors happen when big events are going on. People are just going to say crazy stuff. But then nope. It comes out. Brian Ortega is out. And Dana White also said after the fights that Brian Ortega was actually acting kind of weird during the weigh-ins. He could tell something was up with him. Something wasn't right. Whether it was the weight cut or whatever else was going on with Ortega, he had no choice but to pull him out, which is awful because just the amount of times this card has gotten changed up from Connor and Chandler and then Jamal Hill. It's just there's all these different things are going on. Brian Ortega stepped up. He tried to make this fight. He tried to give it one last go at featherweight before actually trying to move up to lightweight. And then the weight change with them going on where then it became a 155-pound fight. And then ultimately Ortega's pulled out completely. And then Dan Ige comes in. Shout out Dan Ige. It is not easy to just get off, like you say, get off the couch and get into a co-main event fight for the UFC. Absolutely kudos. Even though he didn't get the win, the man should be praised for just stepping up for the company. And you would hope that Dana White and the UFC would somehow get his back a little bit going forward, or reward him a little bit for being such a being a company man. So let's see what happens with him. Diego Lopez, though. Diego Lopez. Can we everybody on board that Diego Lopez is next up?
Is he next up?
He's just next up.
Okay. I'll agree with that. I will say that I want to give him a little slack as well, because it looked like he was getting gassed towards the end of the fight. Maybe not willing to engage in much in the stand-up. But a lot of people hate Dan Ige. He's a gangster for what he had to do, taking this fight on short notice, fresh off the couch. Think about Diego Lopez's body and what he had to do from, hey, you're trying to make 145. It's a weight cut for him as well, to, it's 155, to just the rehydration, maybe the process that he had to put his body through was also a lot. So yeah, when you say next up, he is one of those guys in the division that was already up and coming, and him also, people forget that he was taking this fight on short notice as well. It's not like he had a full camp to prepare for this fight. So 1,000% credit to Diego Lopez as well. Kalani, your thoughts on this unprecedented co-main event?
Us Hawaiians are just built different. When Ige said, any place, anytime, I don't care. He was getting a massage, got the phone call and said, hey, you got to stop hunting. Let me go down there. So shout out to him, and shout out for Lopez for accepting it. We hear Dana White say about some fighters, some guys will accept any fight. Some, they say it on the mic, but I get the messages. They don't all say yes. He was like, hey, 145, got it. 155, too easy. 165, he's coming in from the gym. Too easy. Let's go. So shout out to him as well. And like you said, Dmon, that probably had a lot to do with his own physical conditioning at the end. So really can't hate on him for that. I don't know, Griff, if I want to necessarily say next up. What I would do is I would talk to Brian Ortega and say, what's going on? Be honest with me, man. What's going on with you? Your personal life? Is it something physical, or was it just one of those, hey, man, I just didn't have it? If it's not something that's prolonging him, I would try to rebook those two again against each other, give them a proper camp to prepare for each other. And really, because I feel like if Lopez would have beat Ortega, I feel like your case for him being the next up would be a lot stronger, because Ortega's top 5, top 6, so he's somewhere up in there. He's fought for the title twice. He's got enough cachet behind his name to say that's a quality win. He should be next up, considering Max and Volk pretty much cleared out all the rest of the guys up here. So I don't necessarily know if he's next in line, but he is fun to watch. He's another guy. Look, he doesn't even speak English, or at least that well, but he gets on the mic, and like you said with Feely, he lets you know what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. He puts emotions out there. The fans react to it. I would love to see both of these guys get something as a reward for their efforts for stepping up on a big card like this and saying, I'll fight the big fight. I'll fight that dude any place, anytime. That is what Dana White and really us fans love about these fighters at times, is any place, anytime, any weight. Let's go.
All right, guys, let's move to the main event of the evening now. Alex Pereira taking on Jiri Prochazka in a rematch for the light heavyweight championship. Another fight was, we know, the controversy surrounding UFC 303, Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. Did not happen. Wasn't meant to be. But this main event, as Alex Pereira just puts on another incredible performance. I mean, this guy is growing, one of the fastest growing stars in the UFC. His speed run to the Hall of Fame is all but solidified now. He wants that fight at heavyweight. Let's give him a heavyweight title fight. Joe Rogan's even pushing forward in the octagon after the fight. Kalani, your thoughts on a fight that maybe should have been a first round knockout, but he said, but wait, there's more, and gave us a little bit more in round 2 for that brilliant left head kick knockout that we saw. And Herb Dean said, I want to see a little bit more extra too. Let me see, get a couple more shots in there. What'd you think about that?
That's a good way you put it there. No, wait, there's more. Look, I'll say it right now. I picked Jiri in this one. I thought going into this, Jiri might have made some adjustments and been able to catch him by surprise, considering Pereira might be looking too far ahead. Now, I did say I want Pereira to win because of what's on the horizon. But this particular showing from him, I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I really, really don't, because you know what he can do. You know what he's trying to do. You can't stop it. The leg kicks, they're damn near going to break your calf as soon as he touches it twice. The punches, I don't even want to take a jab from this dude, let alone a left hook or a right cross. And the fact that he's so stoic, if you look at when he's out there, he's stalking his prey or he's letting you come, no movement is being wasted. He's not overly doing it. When he does get you hurt, he's not going in there swinging wild, cautious, taking his time, picking his part. I love the fact that he's stepping in on short notice, but like they said on the announce team, just like his kickboxing days. They fight so frequently, he's used to doing that. It's phenomenal to see him. The entrance that he does, the fact that we all know it and we all look for him to start coming down on Hunt, come down and do the bow and arrow, it is phenomenal. He's another one. Guess what? Just be yourself, man. We are going to gravitate to you. Just be yourself. Be authentic. Perform well in the cage. You're going to get a major fan base. I tell you what, though.
Let's hear it.
You might be good at middleweight. You might be pretty damn good at light heavyweight. But if you want the top dog, there's somebody who's been great his entire career, ain't been beat, ain't been knocked out, and get slept by Izzy. His name is John Jones. Who? John Jones. Who? John Bones Jones. Now, granted, Jones does have to beat Stipe, which is no easy task. Greatest heavyweight champion of all time. But this is why I said to you when weeks ago, this is why I want Pereira instead of Aspinall for Jones. There's always going to be somebody next. But for John Jones at this point in his career, it's only about legacy. Aspinall's great. Not going to be your legacy. You beat Stipe and you want one more against somebody who might be considered the greatest of all time? That's how you end your career right there. Potentially he wins. But right now, it's all about Pereira. Much respect to you, brother. Phenomenal showing.
Griffin, real quick before we get to you, I just want to say for the Stipe-John Jones fight, if that were to happen, before of Alex Pereira, come on, let's be serious, guys. Party's over, Grandpa. This is what the fans want. I do not care about Stipe and John Jones anymore. If we were going to make the legacy-defining fight, if John Jones says, hey, I've only got one last fight, the UFC would be crazy to give that one last fight to Stipe instead of Alex Pereira.
100%. I could say a million things about the actual fight itself between
Tell us,
Alex
you were
Pereira.
there.
I know. But honestly,
let me hear how it was when that knockout happened. What did you think? I was looking at my phone the last 10 seconds. I didn't think anything was going to happen.
Oh, first of all, after he hit him with that counter left and Jiri went down right at the end of the round, with everybody else in that stadium, started getting really angry and really standing up because we all thought the same thing. We thought Herb Dean had done an early stoppage. We all thought Herb Dean had just jumped in and said, no, this fight's over after that one hook. Absolutely crazy to think, that tarnishes the record of Herb Dean. We're not going to do that right now. But we all thought the same thing. And that crowd's reaction was just crazy to have that reaction myself and then have everyone else knowing everyone else in that stadium had it. So then he gets back up. Everyone's still kind of recovering while they're down on the, while they're sitting on the stools. And we're all just trying to recover like, okay, no, the fight's still going. Yuri's not going to get cheated. He's going to be okay. And then boom, that second round starts and this man comes out and it's just what was it, that broken toe he decided to knock him out with? Yes. It wasn't enough that he broke it again on the kick. He popped it back on the screen. It was on the big Megatron for everybody to see. Everybody had that, watch him put that toe just like that. It was but it was iconic. That entire fight was so crazy. But more than anything, what I want to talk about in regards, especially with Alex Pereira, is kind of what you guys were talking about just now. A potential fight with him and John Jones. It seems like it's almost destiny. It almost seems like that's the one and only path to take, right? You have one guy who's this phenomenon who's a double champion. He would have the potential to gain a third belt, be the first fighter ever in the UFC to hold 3 different divisions titles. And then you have obviously got John Jones, who many consider as the GOAT, the greatest of all time when it comes to MMA and in the UFC. It seems like it's a perfect match made to happen. I personally don't really agree with that. I actually think I want to see this man fight Alex Pereira. I want to see him fight one guy before he does that. I want to see him fight Ankalaev. I want to see it. Boo. No boo. No boo.
I don't want to hear, he's never fought a real wrestler before. I don't want to see that. We're in the business of selling tickets. If we want to see dream fights, if we want to talk about gate, who's going to come to that fight, do you think that anyone is really just going, Alex Pereira, he's proven that he's a draw for the UFC.
100%.
People still came to this fight. But if we were just going to say, it doesn't matter, you think he's going to lose that fight. But I just mean, we want to give butts in seats. We want pay-per-view buys. Do you really want to see Ankalaev or do you want to see John Jones?
I want to see it as almost like a warm-up because you throw him in John Jones. You throw him in there with John Jones. John Jones is just going to get him on the ground. And it's actually going to be a pretty awful fight.
I don't believe that.
It's going to be a boring fight.
He's not Cyril Gane.
He's not Cyril Gane. But you don't think what is the most you've ever seen him tested, though, when it comes to the grappling and the wrestling?
Well, we just have to see that. I don't want to see the UFC say, hey, well, let's give him a tune-up wrestler before we give him John Jones. It's either he's ready for the fight or he's not. I don't think one fight with Ankalaev is just going to be the fight that says, he's ready to grapple now. He's shown us his grappling stripes. I mean, come on. I do not care about that. Kayla Harrison gave him his yellow belt after the fight. That's all the credentials I need to see. He's good. He's got a yellow belt. The grappling's good.
It's almost putting it on a platform.
That's all I need to see right there.
He's good with me. Like the video of the old security guard. Where
The yellow belt.
He got the yellow belt. That's all I need.
That's all I need. He's good. He's good. Let him in.
Okay, we're good. We're
Let him
good.
in.
You go through. Look.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear your opinion.
No. Get out of here with that Uncle Live nonsense. Let him beat some of the other top guys. Let him beat some of the other top guys. We're talking about guys who are at the end, near the end of their careers, walking away. Oh, let's get him a tuna fight. Bullshit. He don't need that. He didn't need it at 185. He didn't need it at 205.
Because he only fought strikers. He only fought strikers.
It don't matter. That's who's there. You fight who's available. Guess what? You fight who's there in your lane, right? This isn't you nitpicking. He fought the top of the top. Former champions, current champions, he fought the top. Ain't my fault that they were all strikers. Guess what? That's just the way the game is played right now. Heavyweight. I can't help it at some point in time. It's only the knockout guys, and we don't got the jiu-jitsu guy, the wrestling guy, the judo guy. It is what it is. No, if Alex Pereira's next fight is at heavyweight, there's only two names that he needs to be taking on. Either John Jones at the top or right underneath in the co-main, him and Tom Aspinall. That is it. If Tom Aspinall beats Curtis Blades.
This guy's not co-main anymore.
No, I'm just saying if you want, like that would be his next one as far as I didn't mean like co-main on the card. I mean, that would be his other option. Tom Aspinall, if he beats Curtis Blades, don't want to disrespect Curtis Blades, but if he does that, then okay. Otherwise, it's only John Jones. I'm not going to sit. That's like telling Izzy when he comes up to 205, hey, you got to fight this dude down here that's ranked number 7. Hell no. Get your butt in there where you belong and fight the top of the top.
Dana White, literally, like we were talking about earlier, he got into a whole entire beef with a reporter in the post-fight press conference, arguing how John Jones is the greatest all-time. Shut the book, no argument.
I believe it.
And that's fair to believe. That's absolutely fair to believe. But the thing that I see it as in Dana White, are we just easily putting this? Are we just easily setting it up for John Jones to get a nice little last win before he hangs up the gloves? Like, it's going to be an easy win for this guy. John, I can see
you
it.
mentioned the phrase company man earlier before, and you said where Dan Ige, he was a company man. For me, Alex Pereira taking this fight on short notice. Sometimes you got to reward fighters for being a company man. And in some cases, that's maybe Uncle Dana giving you a little something on the side. Thank you for being a company man. But when you have a star of this magnitude, as Kalani mentioned before, someone who can get over in the wrestling sense, connect with the crowd without even speaking English, where he is getting over with the fan base, we see that he is a draw for the UFC. Sometimes that's how you take care of a fighter. You give him the fight that he wants. You give him the fight that he wants.
Okay.
That's how you take care of Alex Pereira. I don't think that Alex Pereira, hey, we're going to add on a couple extra. We're going to give you another $1 million for this fight. Hey, another $1 million for stepping in short notice. Obviously, he's going to take it. I'm sure the whole team in Danbury, Connecticut is going to take that. But this is how you reward him. This is how you take care of Alex Pereira for saving your main event on a sold-out card. For saving it. Like I said, I'll say it again. He saved the card by taking this fight on short notice and giving fans a main event that they wanted to see. So how do you reward him for being a company man? You give him the fight that he's asking for.
Can I ask you one thing? You specifically. Let's say this fight gets booked. Let's say it's John Jones versus Alex Pereira for the heavyweight title. If Alex Pereira knocks out John Jones, let's say he just gets that left hook, it lands, and he's out. Are you calling Alex Pereira the greatest of all time?
I don't see how you cannot, or at least make the argument that he's in the damn list for it. One loss isn't necessarily going to knock John Jones out as the GOAT. That's not how that particularly works. But he knocks him out. Guess what? He could be 1B. He could be 1B as far as greatest of all time. Think about it. You still got Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre up there for GOATs as well. But very quickly, because both of you guys have done this, and we'll talk more about it when it gets closer. The disrespect you two have shown to Stipe Miocic, calling him grandpa, this is going to be an easy fight. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Was this Yuri fight not an easy one? Yuri didn't land one significant damn strike the whole fight. But would you call him easy going into it? No, you would not. Fights do happen, so guess what? Someone could get starched easily, sure.
I predicted the knockout. What are you talking about? I knew he was going to knock him out.
He said the John Jones against Stipe is going to be an easy fight. I said to him, on paper, would you say Yuri will be an easy fight? Not necessarily you, Dmon. I'm talking about in general. Would we say Yuri will be an easy fight?
Let me stop you right there real quick.
Okay,
I do not care about Stipe Miocic's his legacy, the fights that he has won in the heavyweight division. We know he is credentialed beyond repair. He has got the accolades on the accolades. Put him in the Hall of Fame right now. That's said and done. But when it comes to right now, a guy that we have not seen fight in over 2 years.
It's been a while.
It's okay. Stay retired.
A while.
It's okay. Stay retired. My point when I want to make this, when I say this and I say party's over, Grandpa, I don't want to see you. Oh, I need to train. I need to be at my peak. I need to get ready for this John Jones fight, because guess what? The time has passed for that fight. Even though it's due to John Jones, I want to say tearing his pec while training. That's okay. Whatever John Jones's injury was, that's got him out for, let's say, a little over a year. That where it's going to be that timetable. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. And it's just not meant to be where a guy that is hotter, that's a bigger star, that's the fight that the fans want to see more. So for me, as a fan, I do not care if you could lay it out for me. Hey, John Jones takes him down and he submits him in the second round, or he has a 5-round fight with Stipe, but John Jones still wins. I still want to see the second round finish with Alex Pereira more than I want to see the 5-round split decision with Stipe. That's just me.
Like you said, that's just you. That's just you. And that's totally fine. John Jones was out for 3 years. And there was times where we was like, oh, we're past John Jones. The vision's moved on. This and that. Maybe he could beat this guy. But everyone else has moved on.
But everybody knew John Jones was in his prime. Stipe's over 40 years old.
And guess what? Randy Couture was over 40 years old when he was beating guys, okay?
This is not the same old UFC where Randy Couture... What happened when he fought Brock Lesnar, who was bigger, faster, stronger?
Oh, he lost one time to him. He also beat a guy who's bigger and stronger than him. And Tim Sylvia.
No. That was before. That was still before time. A few years later. No. I am telling you.
And I'm telling you too. He beat one guy when he was in his 40. He lost another guy in his 40. That's 1-1. That's 1-1 against those guys. We've seen Frank Mir do good in his early stage. We've seen Nogueira do good. Hell, we don't know what Stipe is going to look like in this particular one. What if Stipe lands an overhand right and knocks him out then? We don't know.
I do not care because I do not want to see the fight.
And that's you. But I do care. I do care. That's you if you don't care. But I care. And guess what? This is a fight that even Dana White has agreed. We're still going to stick to this. So it is what it is. When the fight gets closer and we have a date and we have an arena set on, the excitement around it will be a little bit better than what it is right now. This is all very recent. If
you took a straw poll, if you ask 100 fans, Family Feud style, survey says, answers on the board.
We're doing it the weekend. We're doing it right after Pereira just won. Of course that's going to happen.
Fight with Jamal Hill, what do you think fans would have said?
Stipe out of sight, out of mind. Stipe's been out of sight, out of mind. But guess what?
We can't go all night on this. And I'm sorry that you feel that the check's in the mail, Stipe. I'll get you the trip.
Okay, we're going through that again. That's neither here nor there.
But when it comes to what fans want to see,
and the Joshua Pereira is in your closet. What the hell are we doing here? So when I root for somebody, it's because I got a check in the mail or I'm dick riding them. But when you guys root for somebody, it's because you guys are loyal and passionate fans. Fuck out of here with that nonsense, man.
I mean, the Ian Gary stuff. I mean, shaboing boing.
But you didn't say anything about it, though.
Why
you didn't say anything about it. It was passionate, and it was the home of the Irish. Oh, I want to see Pereira, but when I want to see Miocic, the check in the mail, don't worry about it. You'll get a ticket to Ohio. Come on, man. You want to see one fight. I want to see another fight. I even said I want to see Jones versus Pereira, but I also want to see Jones versus Stipe. But, I'll go check the mailbox when I get home to make sure the check is arrived.
I hope it is.
I hope it is, too, because it'd be a nice check to put in my bank account.
All right. I know we can all use it. Hell, I'll take one.
Yeah, I'll take all of them.
Okay, and that's going to do it for this edition of the main event. I like it when it gets hot in here.
Steamy.
It's a little bit steamy. It's a little bit sweaty, but hey, that's what we
Summertime.
do. This is The Fight Game. I'm Dmon. Keep calling. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Dmon_the boss. To my right.
Kalani, KLUA11.
To my left.
Conor McGregor's favorite social media personality, Griffin Kemp 51.
And if you want, there's a shaboing boing for you. Get off his meat. Protect yourself at all times. Remember to stay safe, everybody. Peace.